What's going on, y'all? Gamers Goon here today. As you can see with the video, Alex Caruso has been traded, giving you some quick thoughts, quick notes, quick recap of what happened. Obviously, as you probably already know from Adrian Wojnarowski earlier this morning or afternoon or whatever you want to really call it. I'm recording this late at night because I was out and about when this happened. I was out near the coast, so I was not able to film a video. But we traded Alex Caruso, who, mind you, it's been reported in the past that the Bulls have passed on first round picks being offered for Alex Caruso. And we traded today for Josh Giddey. Obviously, we all know there's a lot of controversy regarding Josh Giddey. Um, we all know that that whole situation that went down with him, hopefully that is not anything that gets brought over to Chicago. Hopefully that stigma is all in the past. Hopefully Josh Giddey's not a problem. Hopefully we don't have to worry about that. But to me, this is interesting in a few manners. And the first manner being obviously, what do you get out of Josh Giddey? What is Josh Giddey going to bring? Obviously, you don't have any Lonzo Ball anymore. So I mean, you do, but you don't. You don't know what you're going to get out of Lonzo. And it was reported by Woj earlier today that this Josh Giddey move was kind of brought together because they're looking as an alternative to Lonzo Ball. Whether that means Lonzo Ball is going to be getting traded, whether that means we're going to buy out Lonzo Ball, we don't know. Darnell Mayberry did say that it was likely that one of those two options happen now that Josh Giddey's on the team, which I'm for personally. I am for that personally because I do think we have put a little bit too much stock in waiting around for Lonzo Ball. Now, the off the court problems with Josh Giddey, we all know about. That is kind of the baggage that comes with him. In terms of on the court, it's a different story. He's not a three-point shooter. You're trading a guy that raised his three-point percentage up to 41% last year, best defender on the team last year. So now your best defender is probably going to be Io or maybe Torrey Craig or Patrick Williams if they're healthy. So you're really losing a lot there in terms of defense because Josh Giddey is not the defender of Alex Caruso. He's not. Um, he, I mean, he's going to be a bigger guard, which is interesting because maybe that makes you feel a little bit more comfortable trading Zach, trading DeMar, and in a sign and trade potentially for DeMar, or just letting DeMar walk. I know Zach LaVine's name's been floated around. I've heard the Kings be floated around. Obviously, they re-signed Malik Monk a few hours ago, so we don't know really if that's going to be a case for them. But the 76ers and the Jazz seem to be teams interested in Zach LaVine. So that does give you some leeway there to maybe run that starting lineup with Josh Giddey at the small forward position. I know it isn't necessarily ideal, but I do think you need to have Io in that starting lineup defensively. Obviously, we know the progress he was able to show last year, jumping offensively after Zach LaVine left. Obviously, we saw the progress Kobe had offensively last season. I would start those two guys, put Josh Giddey there at the three. Figure out what you're doing with Patrick Williams. Does he stay? Does he go? Is he a six man? You want to run him as a backup small forward to Josh Giddey? Do you have him play power forward? Booch. I would try to move on from him, but you don't necessarily got that set. But in terms of what we got for Alex Caruso, this to me signifies that the Bulls have finally decided enough is enough, that they cannot win with this current roster. This to me signifies that the Bulls might be all in next year on tanking to get their pick back. If it's a top 10 protected pick next year from the sign and trade with DeMar DeRozan from way back when we first got DeMar. If you tank, you get a top 10 pick, the Bulls get to keep it. I'm starting to think that might be the way they're going because there's a lot of rumors going around that Zach LaVine was going to leave before today anyways. You didn't really hear much about Alex Caruso. We knew he had a good trade value. We knew teams wanted him. We knew this. But we didn't really know what the price was going to be for Alex Caruso. We didn't know Josh Giddey was being floated around. We didn't know the Bulls wanted Josh Giddey. Obviously, DeMar, he wants to return. We're going to have to pay him a lot. I don't really want to pay DeMar a huge sum of money if we're going to be in a rebuild process. I love DeMar, but ultimately I don't want to see the Bulls pay DeMar to be wasted away in a rebuild. I would like to get us rid of Vooch. I would like to maybe move up and get like a Donovan Clingan or somebody like that. Maybe wait around and get Deron Holmes out of Dayton. But I think this move right here, trading a top defender in not just the team, but the NBA and Alex Caruso, it really signifies kind of the changing of the guards with the Bulls front office. For the longest period of time, we're going to have continuity between this team. We want to continue to use these guys that we've had. We want to try to make it work. We're trying to make it work. And it hasn't worked with DeMar, Zach, and Vooch. And obviously, Alex Russo is a big part of that defensively in making it work kind of as a gel guy. But he's not those big three names. You still have to move on from those big three names, one of them. And it sounds like Zach's going to be moved on from. Haven't heard anything out of Vooch. I think he'll be here next season. I would try to move him. DeMar, we don't know. It's going to be hit or miss whether or not we send him an offer. I don't know. But what it does seem like is that the Bulls are considering trying to take a step back, kind of maybe lessen their immediate competition level with, I mean, obviously Caruso's going to come in there. He's going to be a great leader. He's going to do everything he can to get you into the playoffs, this, that, and the other. I'm sure Josh Giddey's the same way on the court, but you're taking that step back defensively, which defense was a problem for us last year. You're taking these steps back so that hopefully 2, 3, 4 years down the line, you're able to take that step forward. Because realistically speaking, yes, we all love Caruso. Yes, we all love DeMar. Yes, we all love Zach LaVine. Yes, we all love Vooch. But 3, 4 years down the line, those guys, they're not going to be good anymore. Let's face the facts. DeMar DeRozan, what is he, 34, 35 years old? He might be retired in 4 or 5 years. Well, let's face the facts. Vooch, we've already seen that he can't consistently do anything defensively. What's that going to be in 4 or 5 years? Zach, his health has been an increasing problem the more and more he is in Chicago. What's that going to be in 4 or 5 years? You got to move on. Caruso had injury problems. You got to move on. You got to reset. You got to rethink of things. This core did not work. You got to find a new one to work. Is that new core Ayo, Kobe, Giddey? Is that new core Patrick Williams in there? Do you see Dalen Terry or Julian Phillips being a part of that future? I don't know. Those are questions the Bulls are going to have to answer this offseason. Because I think this is really the offseason where all's on the table. Because you can't sit around next year and try to compete with a potential top 10 protected pick that if you landed in the top 10. Because here's my thing. I don't want another year like this year where we quite obviously aren't going to make a deep playoff run. We quite obviously aren't really all that good. But we're just good enough to be right outside the top 10. Because then we don't get our pick next year if we're sitting at 11th. We don't get our pick if we're sitting at 12th. I'd rather be worse next year so that we can take a step forward. Granted, the ideal situation would be have all this success and major pickups this offseason, being able to bring some superstar in that can really change the fortunes of a franchise. But realistically, that doesn't happen very often. That doesn't happen very often. And I don't see it happening in Chicago. Chicago right now is not that place. It's not. You're going to be probably on the later end of a star's career. Like, for example, Paul George. I know Paul George has been floated around some trade rumors. Somebody like that. Which, that's good to compete for a play-in, maybe a first, second round, but you ain't going to win a championship. You ain't going to win a championship with that. You really need to just establish a young core. Take a page out of what the Thunder do. Because the Thunder, they have their young core, and a piece like an Alex Caruso, a cake, an icing on the top of the cake piece like that, that could be a championship-winning move for them next season, Alex Caruso. Because you're bringing a leader into a team that has so much depth, so much youth, so much upside. That's what the Bulls need to be looking at. Something like that model. But like I said, you can look at it in one or two ways. Did we get enough for Caruso? I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know. It's weird. Part of it also is, did you really get enough when you're taking on somebody with the stigma that Josh Giddey has? The other part of it is Josh Giddey's 21 years old. The other part of it is he's 9 years younger than Caruso. The other part of it is moving a guy like Caruso signifies that you're starting a rebuild. So I mean, seriously, it's a really awkward trade. It's a really awkward trade because I don't think at the end of today specifically, as a Bulls fan, you can be happy about it. But I also think at the end of the day, as a Bulls fan, you can be hopeful for it, which is unique and interesting, and I don't really know really where to put that. Obviously, it's just a unique situation that the Bulls just put themselves in with Josh Giddey and obviously what his situation was last season. Um, it's going to be interesting bringing that into the locker room. It's going to be interesting bringing that to Chicago. It's going to be interesting seeing what that baggage looks like. And hopefully that never is another problem with Josh Giddey ever again. Hopefully he's learned a lesson. Hopefully we don't have to talk about that. Hopefully the Bulls can overcome that. But I don't really know what there is to say, or if this is a moment to come out here and be happy. I really don't. Um, so the Bulls made an interesting move. Hopefully it was the right move. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.